Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. I'm very excited to welcome you into this conversation with my guest, Tara Vogel, who is an astrologer and coach, because she is going to talk to us about parenting astrology. Oh, it's a beautiful conversation. Before I welcome you into that, I would like to invite you to please leave us a review on this podcast. Just scroll down in your app, do some stars, write a few words, because that will really help to boost us in that good old friend go rhythm in the algorithm. But it also does something metaphysically, which it connects us. It connects our heart, connects our light, helps our souls to really mark down the resonance that we are creating together. And of course, share it if you are inspired by it. And I also want to invite you to my Instagram, which is at Tricia Carr Charm, and then point you to the show notes here, because there are a lot of things that are being offered there by Tara, which we will talk about in the conversation, as well as my Modern Mystic Life subscription, which is essentially a way to, it is like my subscription platform, how people have Patreon, but I used to do Patreon, but I'm just preferring this platform that I'm doing with Hey Daily. It's amazing. Modern Mystic Life subscription is a way to support this podcast, but you get amazing content just easily SMS text messaged to you. And also, we are meeting for live workshops, so check it out. And you can find the link to read more about it in the description. So with that, I want to tell you about Tara. Tara Vogel is a certified professional astrologer and coach who is passionate about helping people stay connected to themselves and their soul's path via the cosmos. Tara loves to dive deeply with her clients and believes that understanding your astrological natal chart is one of the greatest tools we have for developing our consciousness while we're here on planet Earth. Tara reports daily on how to use the celestial bodies to support you in your everyday life in an easy to understand and practical way. She posts every day on Instagram and gives further insights to her astrology community, the Luminary Parenting Community. Her passion is helping moms to understand how to be the best mom they can be for their kids and themselves through astrology. Tara believes in a holistic approach to living and weaves her knowledge of nutrition, herbal medicine, and the internal family systems method of psychotherapy into her work. Being a mom of 3, living astrology daily, and ecstatic dance have been Tara's greatest adventures for healing and wholeness. So here we go, everyone. I hope you enjoy this conversation between myself and Tara Vogel, and I will chat with you on the other side. Well, Tara, I'm so excited to connect with you in this episode, and I can feel your energy is so wonderful. We were connecting right before we hit record, and I asked Tara if she could guess what my rising sign was, and she nailed it. Not guess, intuit what it is. So I am just very fascinated, first of all, with astrologers in general, because it's my weakest modality as a general spiritual practitioner. And so I want to hear all about your work. So if you wouldn't mind getting us into the beauty of your work and your journey, and just share with us how you got into this work or the work that you're doing now.
Sure, I would love to. So the focus of my work, so yes, I'm an astrologer, but my niche is doing astrology for parents. And there is a little story of how I got into this, in this realm and this area of work. I was an elementary school teacher, so I was trained and I taught in elementary school before I had kids, in my other life before kids. And then I had kids and I became a natural parenting educator through La Leche League. So still working with moms, still, in the topic of kids. And I had a 3.5-year-old son, and I gave birth to his sister. And I had a beautiful natural birth, and yet her name was Eva. Her name is Eva. She's actually 17 now. So this was a long time ago. She just wasn't developing. And yet I had this beautiful natural birth. And it was many years of me trying to make Eva normal the way that I saw her, that I wanted her to be. I mean, she had a lot of struggles. She developmentally, she wasn't on par. And so we went to a lot of doctors and therapists. And I just really worked. I'm a Capricorn, so I worked really hard. This was my job, to fix her.
Mm.
And when I would say she was about 5, maybe 4.5, we got the diagnosis. So her diagnosis is cerebral palsy. And, there was some, probably when I was pregnant, because we had a beautiful natural birth, there was some deprivation of oxygen. We don't quite know what happened. But anyway, we moved states. We moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania so Eva could go to a Waldorf school for special needs children, because my son was at a Waldorf school. And it was just that it's this beautiful honoring of the child. And it's a really spiritual, holistic education. And so I wanted the same thing for Eva. And there was only one of those schools in the whole country. And so we moved. And I was having lunch with a bunch of other parents in this new school. And someone said to me, have you ever had Eva's natal chart read? And I said, I don't know what that is. So this was, so she was 5. So many, many years ago. And I said, I know I'm a Capricorn. I know she's a Pisces and she's sensitive, but is there anything else to know? And they said, oh, well, we have to set you up and go get this astrology reading. And that astrologer, that hour that we sat together, he was able to describe her. Of course, he didn't say, well, she has this diagnosis of cerebral palsy, but there was definitely a child, a very, very sensitive child who was on a special, unique journey that wasn't going to be like the other kids. And her attachment to me and everything, he just described it perfectly. And I thought, and so it was in that reading where I thought, and I'm a pretty spiritual person. And yes, I believe that this is just one of many lives, but I started thinking after that reading, like, wait, I think that she may have chose these struggles. Like there's something bigger going on here. And that astrologer was able to bring me something that I hadn't been able to find in the 5 years since she was born, which was peace, like a very, almost like a scientific, do you know what I'm saying? Like a scientific view of, all is as it should be. And he also helped me discover ways that I could just support her on her journey. And so at that point, I became obsessed. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. I became obsessed and I just studied astrology. I took classes and I read every book I could get my hands on. And I just started studying it for myself because I really wanted to help other parents. And not parents of special needs, just, it really helped me to learn my son's chart. And then I went on to have Eva and Alex's sister many years later. And, it's just a really good parenting tool. I call it a parenting hack because it feels like that to me.
Yeah. I love that part where, we have to have some kind of metaphysical view and possibly reincarnation and possibly that there is an intentional soul plan that is put in motion before, those are things that we need in order to reach the sense of peace and conclusion that she planned it. But everyone here, I'm assuming if they've come to this podcast, that is their view. But yet even still, I've noticed that sometimes even in spiritual community, some people are uncomfortable with that because if we're viewing that from this limited human perspective, then people sense blame in that or shame or something. But in fact, it's actually when it's expanded and we think about it as there's no judgment. Every journey is beautiful and unique. Like we think that having cerebral palsy is a limitation, but maybe it's a gift, not just maybe. I'm sure you're seeing it is a tremendous gift, and you can even see it in the design of her natal chart. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. And, this is just one of many lives that she that she's chosen. And so it is this, she's really working on coming into the body and what so you can also in your natal chart see themes from other lifetimes and how that's showing up now. So Eva is really learning a lot of lessons about how to take care of her body. And the whole development is slowed down. And so just to tie her shoe was like a year-long process of this is, and so there's this focus and intensity in caring for herself, handling her sensitivity, knowing how to navigate this right, you're a Pisces, I'm a Pisces rising. Life, can be a little bit much and intense down here on the earth. We have to manage our sensitivity and our, the way we can tap into other realms and things like that. So yeah, she's working on, and she brings so much love and light to other people. It's really incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I think it's in I think it's in A Journey of Souls, which is yes, you read
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
And
I read them all.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
in A Journey of Souls he says, or maybe it's a Dolores Cannon book, I can't remember, but I just remember it's in one of the regression, looking past life regression hypnotherapists, tool, and they say, and someone said that there's actually a line to incarnate in this life in a body that is what we would call disabled or some kind of challenge, because it is a much more beautiful journey. It is a deeper journey. I mean, just thinking about it, her to have a year to learn to tie her shoe, how mindful that is. Like we're struggling
Yeah.
to become mindful, and she's in a situation where mindfulness is how she develops, and that's really beautiful. I mean, mindfulness is how we all develop.
Yeah.
Right.
And her pace that she needs to move through life has impacted everybody that cares for her. So, right. So I have to slow down. I have to be more mindful. And the reason we have her at, it's called the Camp Hill School. It's a Waldorf school for special needs children, is that Rudolf Steiner, the founder of Waldorf schools, believe that when a child chooses a lifetime of having different needs, or a body that's not quite like, that's
Typical.
not neurotypical, it's a very sacred life. And it's the honoring of it. That's why she's at that school, because they honor the journey. And it's like having them be valuable members of a community. I mean, it's a residential, intentional living situation. It's quite beautiful. So yeah.
So necessary, where I feel like it's such a critical time in human history, conditioning, and she is a model of deconditioning from expectations that somehow there's a collective unconscious that determined it, or maybe it is still from something like politics and religion that tells us that people are meant to be more homogenized in certain ways. And I feel like with broadcast and social media, being conditioned outside of what is holistically natural or better for an individual it's at a critical point. So her journey of really interrupting some of that noise for the people who love her and support her, that's fantastic. So
Yeah. It's a
wonderful.
gift. Absolutely. And it's still really challenging. And it really helps me to understand her natal chart. And it helps me understand her natal chart, but it's equally as helpful to understand my other two kids, their natal chart as well. And the other part that I didn't tell about my journey is that after I had my daughter's chart read and then my son's chart, I had my own chart read. And oh my gosh, I was really off my path, because I was just trying everything I could to fix Eva. And that reading helped me connect to my purpose. And I'm a Capricorn. So it is my intention. It's my son. It's your son. So your son is your ego. This is what you want. I really like to be working, although I was a professional mom and still feel like that's like my part-time job, even though I'm a professional astrologer now. So it is really important for me to be out there doing something that I feel like really makes a contribution. So, and I'm doing that now, whereas before I was just really fixated on, I need to fix her. I need her to be like all the other kids. Right. And so, and like I said, she was struggling. So it's hard to see your kids struggle. But so, yeah, that's how I ended up doing what I do. And I do natal readings for parents about their kids or about themselves, their own natal chart. And I also post every day on Instagram what's happening in the sky and how parents can use it down here to make their mom job, which is the hardest thing, I think, on the earth, to do the mom job, totally the most rewarding, right? But to make their life easier down here with kids. And so it little tricks to, if we're under a Sagittarius moon, how to move with that. Because when we can move with what's happening in the sky, life feels better. When we can move with what's happening in our natal chart, we feel more in alignment. Life feels more fulfilling. And so, and I also really want moms to be able to care for themselves, right? We all have childhoods that, could have gone a different way, or it would have been better if my parents would have honored this part of me, and that didn't happen. And that's kind of like the human design. But yeah, so I do a bunch of different things, but I also teach astrology too. They're all parent-kid related.
And we will be right back. Hello, my friend. It's Tricia Carr. I'm here to invite you to my coaching and mentoring portal, Modern Mystic Life. This high-value, easy access portal is like having a spiritual mentor right in your pocket. You'll receive all the inspiration right there in your text messenger, and you can also access it on your desktop. I will be delivering the tools and technology that are proven to evolve your abundant life inside and out. You will receive daily inspiration, education, and practices to help you evolve your life as a mystic and a human spiritual being. Plus, you will have access to my monthly workshops in which I teach and channel cutting-edge spiritual content, and also will give guidance, intuitive readings, and attunements right there in our group setting. I worked with Spirit to co-create and manifest the best way to support you, and in the easiest fashion, and here it is. I'm very excited to co-create with you too. So, welcome, my friend, to your modern mystic life. And now back to the show. Oh, that's so wonderful. It's such an important work right now, and I think extremely relevant. I mean, I know that we had some sort of, metaphysical spiritual awakening in, I guess, like the 70s, the 60s and 70s. And that was a kind of forerunning, but it's so much, there are the people that maybe of our generation, mine and your generation, we're kind of like sloughing off some of the industrial age type, or even the silent era type of parenting that was a bit more, well, it was just totally different. Like you could probably just get a job right after high school or college or the service, and then you'd be fine. And then, you know what I mean? But it's just, there's so many options, and there is so much pulling on our attention and our awareness. And of course, I think I'm not saying that it actually worked to just raise children in cookie cutter ways, but I think I'm saying that the parents are open to it and interested in it and available to learning something like parenting with the child's astrology. It's really a relevant work.
Right. We grew up in a time where everybody was the same. You were the parent, all three of your kids got equal treatment. And that is, can be really traumatic for some kids, there are, there's the sensitive kids, there's the fiery kids, there is the very, can be a little bit heavier kids with just like, if they have, wait, you said you have a Capricorn moon, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a more, they have a different feel as, with a child with an air moon or a water moon or a fire moon. So it's helpful to understand. I mean, if you know nothing else, if you just understand your moon sign, which is what you need to feel nurtured and happy and taken care of. And if you just know your kid's moon sign, like we're very big on sun sign astrology because that's easy to figure out. But if you go on astro.com, you can learn what your moon sign is and what your rising sign is. And so I'm launching a parenting course in the fall where you don't have to know astrology, but I teach parents how to be the best mom they can be for that kid. And if they have three of them, then we're going to learn three different ways of parenting. You can still work under the umbrella of compassionate parenting or respectful parenting or aware parenting. There's lots of different schools of thought, but just to be able to individualize it and then also understand your own needs, because we were not raised in a generation that talked about needs. You just did stuff, just be quiet and do it. So, yeah,
Yeah, needs were, those are things that it was almost like they were flaws that we needed to just, you
yeah,
know, smooth out or something. And needs are the clues about what that soul has directed for this life to become. Wow, we just need so much healing around that. And also to even understand the difference between needs and, misaligned, kind of out of balance urges, the urges that are
hmm,
trying to, that are almost in the addictive sense. But the kids, they don't have that yet, depending on their age. But
yeah,
yeah, they have less of that. So to be able to, so the moon sign is kind of really important because it is communicating the needs, the emotional needs, yes. And so
yeah.
that's something that people listening right now, they could go research that about their child and start to alchemize that. And we want to speak more about how just anyone listening right now can go on their own journey before they get a reading with you.
Yeah, well, definitely you could, like I said, go to astro.com and print out your chart. You need an accurate birth time because
Mhm.
that gives you your rising sign. And your rising sign is really, that's a huge part of you as well. That's what your soul is rising to. That's why I could guess that you were a Leo rising because you're Leo, because your rising sign is also has to do with your appearance.
Mhm.
And so as soon as you came on the screen, I thought, oh my God, like there was something about your hair that was really beautiful. It's like that, it's like before you even have time to think. That's why when you say, can you guess my rising sign? I had to go back and I thought, what was your first impression? It was,
Mm.
her hair is really beautiful and unique. And so
Oh,
a Leo is, it's just, yeah, it's really striking. And that is a telltale sign. There's something about the hair with Leo risings.
oh, that's my
So
husband's a Leo rising as well, and his hair is always, I think, interesting. He's
interesting.
not a spiritual practitioner, and so when I was trying to explain to him simply what does Leo rising mean, I was like, it's kind of like, "Hello world, I'm handsome." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like trying to create an attractor field, which, for me to be able to admit that without thinking that I sound, I don't know, vain or something. It's just how it is. It just happens almost naturally. Oh, well, unless we're repressing it. But yeah, and I
Yeah.
can see the Pisces rising in you. You look so like you're with your hair too. You know what I mean? Like it's just flowing, and the
Yeah.
energy that's just radiating off of you is peaceful and serene and comforting. And I just want to float down the river of you. So
Yeah, it is. That in itself, if you can go to astro.com, look up, you can, it's very easy to read a chart. You can just look at your sun, you'll see your sun sign, moon sign, and then your rising. It will say it in the little key there. And you can go Google that,
Mhm.
because for kids, they move towards their sun sign. As adults, because every year on your birthday, you get, it's called your solar return. In astrology, you get another, like, oh, who am I going to be this year? Right? There's like a reset. And the more birthdays we have, the better we become at doing that sun. So you are a Pisces sun. So you refine that each year that the sun returns to itself. But when you were little, you certainly were sensitive. You were watery, right?
Just
It's a
cried
little,
all the time. I
yeah,
was the crybaby.
it's a little tricky because a Capricorn moon is really tough and has to, grow up and be responsible. Like they come out and they're responsible. They can handle, it's like they're not, your rising sign is super kid like, but you grow towards that. You
Mhm.
embrace that inner kid as you move through your life. And but your moon is really, that tells about your childhood. So whatever your circumstances were, you were the one that was more responsible. Sometimes that can even, like, it can be like my parents both worked and I had to like take care of my younger brother, or this situation happened where I had to grow up sooner than other kids. And you're sensitive. So that doesn't, especially, in our generation, that wasn't honored like it is today. We don't talk about HSP, highly sensitive people. We didn't talk about that back then. But
No.
yeah, you were. So you're really, so if you're a parent and you're listening and you're thinking, oh, my kid's a Leo or my kid's a Gemini, you can think of it like they're actually moving towards that. And they really show up as that element. So for you, you just were watery when you were little. You were sensitive. You felt a lot,
Mhm.
but you become, yeah, like, yeah, I am this intuitive. I am this spiritual woman who has a vision, and you move towards that every year on your birthday. So these
I
are all
love getting
things.
older. I love getting older, and that's a good explanation why. And
Yeah.
no one likes their body to work less easily or have wrinkles. I don't, but I
Yeah.
honestly don't care about that. Like, it doesn't even seem like a trade-off. I'm just loving each, turn around the sun. It feels really awesome. Maybe that's why I keep feeling more and more like me, and
Well,
that's
that's part
wonderful.
of it, but also because you have a strong Capricorn, you're a Capricorn moon, childhood can be hard
Mhm.
for somebody with a Capricorn moon. It's like you're kind of like a little bit out of your element. And then as you get older, because Saturn rules old age, you become more of who you are. It gets more comfortable to become older.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I'm in the
you grow
range of
into that.
I'm in my Chiron return range right
Mm.
now too.
Hmm.
And it actually returns, like, the actual date I think is next summer. Yeah, it's a little less than a year away. But I
Yeah.
feel like I had a rough go of some of those core wounds. I felt them a lot in the previous, like, 6, 7 months from now, I felt
Yeah.
them really intensely then.
Yeah, Chiron return is a time that we all have around late 40s, early 50s, where we step into being a healer,
Mhm.
or we can get sick, or we can have a point where we just kind of can't take it anymore emotionally and something has
Yeah,
to change. Ideally, it's that we claim ourselves as a healer, but the journey is to heal ourselves and then
always.
share that with others.
Mhm. The wounded healer is what Chiron
Yeah.
is called, yeah.
Yeah.
My childhood, just to give you some validation and what you just know, she hasn't looked at my chart, audience. I just told her, those top three. And in fact, the situation of my childhood would have been difficult for anyone because there was violence and alcoholism. And then there was a shift when I was 11 to where my home life then I was the youngest of four children, and then suddenly each sister kind of like left, and then at 11 I was an only child, and then my mother married someone who abused me until I moved
Uh,
out at 18.
yeah.
And so, but I remember when I was smaller, when most of my sisters were still there, and my dad was the alcoholic, abusive person, there would be like he would just explode and like throw some furniture around or choke my mother. It was horrifying.
Mm.
Spoiler. I mean, not spoiler. What's the thing? Trigger alert, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't say that in advance. But one thing that kind of puts together all three of those was obviously I had the sensitivity. I could feel before it happened. And I would either hide if it was too close. I would go and hide myself. Or if there was enough time, then I would try to organize a little like play or dance or something where I would perform for everyone and I remember feeling very distinctly like if it was intuitively feeling, if I can hold their attention in this, joy or at least levity of watching this little kid dance around, then I could shift it. I could shift the state and stave it off at least while we're doing this, and maybe it would change the whole day, and we wouldn't have
Yeah.
one of those eruptions. So it's kind of like my Leo was working,
Yeah.
my Capricorn was trying to organize the emotions, and then my
Yeah.
Pisces was drawing them in. Can you imagine that? How that kind of brings all three of those elements together?
And that's literally how it works.
Mhm.
They're all different parts of you,
Mhm.
and they all need to be showing up in this lifetime. Ideally, it's our natal chart is like our soul contract. I picture, the little baby sliding over the rainbow bridge, and they have their natal chart in their hand, like, I'm going to do this, and hopefully I can pick a mom and dad that can honor that, because then it makes life easier. Right. And so yeah, and they're just all different parts of us, the sun, moon, and rising, and they all need space to show up. And
Mhm.
a lot of times with parents, like if um I don't have a lot of fire in my chart. My own fire when I was little just wasn't, I just kind of had to be the good girl and do the right thing and that kind of thing. And so when my kids get fiery and kind of stand up for themselves, it triggers me because
Mm.
I don't, my fire wasn't allowed. So every time they do that, I get the chance to look at myself. So we also, like
Mhm.
in my parenting course in the fall, we'll also look at how your kids are here to help you heal and,
Absolutely.
really become whole. When I say heal, I really mean to become all of you, to embrace all of you. So yeah. And, that's a very typical story of when you have a Capricorn moon, what you shared, it can be hard. I mean, my son, my oldest son, he's 3.5 years older than Eva. Oh, also, I'm going to tell you that story in a second. Your moon sign is like, your moon sign is your interpretation, your perception of your mother.
Mm.
And your sun sign, there's an element of your father in there as well. So you saw your mother dealing with some hard circumstances. She moves from one abusive relationship
Mm-hmm.
to another, right? And she's a tough woman. That's
Mm.
Capricorn. She could have also been distracted by these relationships, and you had to kind of, fend for yourself. So, but Alec, my son, has a Capricorn moon, and I really was a professional mom. Like, because I was an elementary school teacher, loved teaching, but then I knew I wanted to stay home. And it was hard for me to stay home because I really loved working.
Yeah.
So I just became a professional mom. And then when Eva was born, he became very independent, but not by choice, out of necessity, because I was very focused on fixing her. And so everything, and we got an au pair because I was just drowning in her needs. And so then I was even more removed. I mean, I was still there in the house all the time, but I was going to doctors or therapists or researching new healing. I tried it all with Eva. That's why when somebody said, have you thought about getting her chart read? I'm like, listen, I've tried everything
Hey.
conventional, everything mainstream. I might as well try that. So yeah. And it was the one thing, thank gosh I said yes to that. I'm gonna change.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has, and he's very super responsible. And as he gets older, he's 20 now, he comes more into himself. Like, it's easier for him to be an adult than it was to be a kid. And so, yeah, that's also why you feel like you're getting older and you're getting better, because that's what it's like when you have a strong Capricorn or Saturn.
Mm-hmm. My mother is a Gemini, and so yeah, she was kind of dealing with a lot, and is still, by the way, not to tell her story. The thing that, as you said, children are here to heal us. Again, remembering that heal means to make whole, and that's a lifelong path, a lifelong journey. And that, as children, our first partner is our, primary caregiver, and that's usually mom, simply because babies come from the mother of the body, and that primary caregiver is usually the mother. So just for sake of ease, I'll just say our first parent is our mom. And so our first partner is our mom. Those words have such similarities if you think about it, parent, partner.
Yeah.
That's probably not an accident. But, with partners, we counterbalance one another. And you know what I mean? Because that makes more of, makes more of a partnership. If you overlapped one another too much, if you were the same person, then you wouldn't have a successful partnership. So nature or nurture or both cause the children and the mother to, polarize a little bit, but also then the polarization actually then causes that expansion as we are learning about one another and making space for one another. Right? Do you get? I just felt like talking about that, but of course, the child is there to be the one that's nurtured more than making space for mom. That starts happening when you're like 25, though. You have to make space for mom and understand her.
Yeah, I don't remember the astrologer who said, we all fall madly in love with our mother. It's our first relationship.
Yep.
And that's why the moon in a child's chart, the moon years are 0 to 7. So although you may have a listener might now think, oh, I have a 4-year-old and he's a Sagittarius, he moves into Sagittarius someday, but knowing his moon sign, that is the key to what he needs and how to meet his needs and how he sees you. And it's like the moon is the way to our happiness. And yes, we need it from mom or that primary caregiver. But then when we get older, we get our needs met in relationships. So it can be incredibly insightful to know your partner's moon sign, because that's their needs. So yeah, there is an endless well of knowledge about astrology that really can help you connect with yourself by knowing your own chart, connect with your loved ones by knowing theirs, but also the things that I do, what I do daily on Instagram is to connect you to the sky,
Mhm.
because that's where the answers are. It's that connection between you and the stars. That's where we need to be moving right now. We're still in this person above me, tell me what to do. I'm not sure. Tell me what to think. Tell me who to be. And that that's ending.
It's like
And
I already told you, it's written in the stars. I
yeah.
told you what today feels like or looks like or, is moving like. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's written in
So
the
that's
sky.
always my goal, is to just connect people to the bigger thing, and that they become the authority on them, because when we can honor our kids just for who they are and see them. I see your fire. I honor your fire. You're helping me learn my own fire.
Yeah.
Then they don't lose themselves and have to do the finding again. And we need just really strong souls right now coming through to get us out of a big mess. And the more they're honored and appreciated for who they are, and not tried to fit into some kind of box that isn't even real, it doesn't even make sense, the better we have at what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah.
Right. Essentially, like the idea of karma being the lessons that we're learning, but it's also, karma can be thought of as like the way we move off the path. Like we don't need extra karma right now, so let's let's try
Yeah.
to figure out how to parent the kids so they don't need to add some karma to this life, meaning like they have to, I mean, no parent is perfect, but if we can, if create a parenting container that is much better at honoring the individual child, then they can move a little more swiftly into their purpose, their mission, and make this place
Yeah.
better. Yeah, get out of the big mess,
Exactly.
as you said. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, I want to ask you if you know about human design or if you're interested in it at all.
Yeah, I know a tiny little bit about it.
Hmm.
I think just astrology speaks
Hmm.
more to me, but
Hmm.
I have a friend. He is a colleague. He teaches in the astrology school that I teach in. He does both astrology
Hmm.
and human design, and
Yeah.
really has a great client base, because that's a big topic right now. People are learning about.
Hmm.
So yeah, there are parallels, but I don't know what they are.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you could use either. Well, first of all, human design is a synthesis of four different modalities, ancient observational sciences, and one of them is astrology, both Western and Eastern. But I think maybe it's a little more Western. I'm not sure. At any rate, there is someone that oh gosh, I'll have to link her below because I can't remember the name of her profile. Someone I just started following on Instagram, and she is a human design reader and also a hypnotherapist. And she is a mother. I think she has two or three kids, but that's one thing she's doing little reels about, like, this is Riker. He's a projector. And so I'm always encouraging him to use his strategy this way. And it's really pretty cool because also then my friend who's also a human design reader and an astrologer, I showed her that. And she's like, yeah, well, when I was a kid, I remember sitting inside my house, like, and she's a projector and projectors are meant to wait for the invitation. And she's like, I would sit inside my house and watch the kids until someone came and asked me to play. So it was just natural
Mm.
for her anyway, instead of
Yeah.
like, fortunately, she didn't have her mom saying like, go ask them. And because that was horrifying and uncomfortable because it was out of alignment for her. She got
Yeah.
to just kind of already naturally. And if, in a sense, if we respond to our children, they're probably going to show us what their chart is anyway. Well, you already knew that when you got their charts
Right.
read. You're like, I already knew
It's
this about my kids.
Yeah, it can be really, that's one of the things that parents really take away. Yes, I give them practical strategies, and I help them where they get stuck, because a lot of times where they
Hmm.
get stuck doesn't have anything to do with their kid. It's what
Yeah.
is being shown to them right now, and their kids just doing that. Like, oh, mom, it's time, for you to really own your fire. I'm helping you do that. That's just the example that I keep using. But a lot of times, it's parents will leave like a session after an hour of me never meeting their kid, and just basically telling them about their kid. It's like, I guess they are, and this is exactly who they're meant to be, and they're doing it, and I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. So sometimes it could just be a lot of just affirming for the parent. And I do get parent comes to me with problems like, help, I'm really struggling in this area, and then we also do those kinds of sessions too.
Right.
And just
This,
even paying attention to the daily, what's happening in the sky, what I do on Instagram
mhm.
can be very helpful. There was a situation a few days ago under the Scorpio moon with my 20-year-old, and it was it was really important that he did something. And he told me he wasn't going to do it, or I thought, he wasn't. And I thought, oh, I can't, that today is not a day where I can say, you know what, you don't have a choice. You haven't made an agreement and an obligation. And I gave him his power back. And I said, I'm going to check back with you in 10 minutes. And if you can figure out a solution where you can still go to this thing that we had to go to, it was important, and do these other things that are important to you, awesome. But I trust that you can navigate this. And I came back, and 10 minutes later, he had the most brilliant solution, which never would have worked if I would have said, you know what, you're doing it. No choice, because it was a Scorpio moon, and we don't want to be forced when the moon is in Scorpio. You don't tell your kid what to do when the moon is in Scorpio, or you will get a fight. So even
Yes.
those little daily things, can be really helpful when you're a parent, or when you're not a parent. I have lots of followers that are not parents that are just like, I deal with my kids at the daycare, or I deal with my coworkers, or
My boss is like a kid. It's probably a lot of people.
exactly. Exactly. So it's just like the other humans in your life, because we all live under the same sky. We feel the same moon. It doesn't matter where you are. Today, there's a Sagittarius moon.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so beautiful. Well, this has been so illuminating, and just I feel like making another pun, a stellar conversation. Oh my gosh, what a bad pun. It's terrible. But everyone, I want you to definitely follow, because that Tara's Instagram sounds like so valuable. It's amazing you're doing all of that for free. And so it's very, very valuable.
yeah.
Follow
I
on
also run
Instagram.
an online community where I give
Good.
you that and a little bit more. We work with
Okay.
the moon cycle, which is something that I feel like a lot of people try to work with, like setting intentions on the new moon.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work because they're doing it from an
Uh-huh.
ego-based perspective. And so we really ebb and flow with the moon cycle, and we're tracking things. And I show up every day. I mean, I show up every day on Instagram, but I also talk to them every day through a voice text, like, here's what you really need to know about the energy today. So
Nice.
I do have a paid online community.
Oh, great.
And then I also teach other astrologers how to read children's charts. And I am launching my parenting course in the fall. So
And you're doing chart readings still too, yes?
I am. I'm taking the summer off so I
Okay.
can. My Pisces rising has to be able to flow with the creativity. It's a
Sure.
really creative, not sure how it wants to. I know you'll get this. I'm not sure exactly how it wants to come through.
Every
And
day.
yeah, exactly. The less I have going on, which chart readings, I love them, but they take a lot of my
Yes.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
The more I can just create what is really parents are really needing right now. So that'll be out in the fall, but I do have two things for your audience if they
Oh,
want to
good.
just learn more. They're two ebooks, and they should be in the show notes. I
Okay.
sent them to you. One is
Great.
just, everybody knows their sun sign. So what does your sun sign say about you as a mom? And then also just, there's a, a little ebook that you can print out, like, well, what do you do when it's a Sagittarius moon? How do you roll with that? What kind of things would feel good? Because if you go, the moon is just playing in the background in
Mm-hmm.
our lives. Our natal moon plays in the background, so it's helpful to know that. But then the mood of the day, is a Sagittarius vibe. So how do you go with that? So that can be like a little daily hack kind of thing.
Wow, what great gifts. Well, we do have all of that information in the show notes. So everyone, do please find Tara. And I just am so grateful. I'm so inspired and so grateful that you came on the podcast. Thank you so much. It
Oh,
really has
you're
been
welcome.
wonderful.
I was happy to be here.
Wow, she is so generous with everything that she is offering, those ebooks and the guidance that she's giving every day on Instagram. I am just so inspired by Tara. I think it's very important work, as I said in the conversation. I say it again, it bears repeating. What great work. And it is a very important time. I mean, it's funny because I think it's one of those things where probably every generation thought, well, this is the time. that is so big and important, and maybe it's a mess. But I've lived myself some 48 years, and it's been getting more and more intense. And well, we can objectively look at what's been going on, the advances that are kind of creating a pressure chamber on humankind. Oh my goodness, I could go on about it. And actually, I think, I have been going on about it and will continue to, because my mission really, if I were to boil down my mission into a few statements or foci, it would be to help humankind decondition from the dogma or outside homogenized influence of the way that we are supposed to be, whether that came by politics or, media or religion, and to help us to find personal sovereignty, to recognize that, well, first of all, the psychic field and psychic abilities are available to all of us. And maybe some of us experience that as intuition. Maybe some of us actually are having things like visions and relationships with spirit guides. However it is that you are feeling comfortable and aligned and excited about connecting with the field of psychism is your birthright. And the thing is, if it is intuition, which is, that subtle voice inside the body, we have been so deeply conditioned to ignore that. And so we do need to continually decondition ourselves from those outside influences. And so those are really important parts so that we can together honor one another, honor ourselves, release trauma and patterns that are painful and limiting, and to embrace our personal sovereignty, our spiritual sovereignty, our psychic sovereignty, because there is a lot of pull on our psyche and on our psychic spiritual experience. And to demystify psychism, because you know what? It is being utilized in ways that are harmful. It is being weaponized, if you will, in a way. I'm sorry, I'm not being fear-based here at all. It's just true. I mean, I'll give you a very simple example of it, that the broadcast media, broadcast news I'm going to use journalism. It's a stretch because there really aren't any standards anymore. So it isn't journalistic as much as it used to be. But that broadcast journalism, broadcast news understands how the human psyche is vulnerable to messages when it is frightened. And that means essentially putting you in a fight-flight state, putting us in a fight-flight state, which is a suggestible, hypnotic state, and then dropping in suggestions there, whether it is about the political leanings of that particular, news mogul's interests, or about, money, in which those are one and the same in a lot of cases. So that's what I mean. Like we're vulnerable to it when we're in the conditioning, which we all are to some degree or another. But this is a big part of my mission, if I may share that with you. And I think, as we talked about in the conversation with Tara, parenting your children in alignment with their sovereignty, their spiritual essence, their true needs and desires, well, they got a head start for helping us to fix this and to ascend and upgrade. Okay, well, that's what I have for you. And I want to remind you that I would love it if you would leave me a review. I would love it if you followed me on Instagram, and remind you about the YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/Tricia Carr. And of course, remind you once again to check the show notes so that you can take part of those gifts that Tara Vogel has given, and check out her community and join her, follow her on Instagram. And so that's what I have for you for this episode, that with all of my love, all of my heart, all of my prayer and well wishes for you. So thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.